Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think the president bears responsibility for some of what happened. I think that's separate from the notion of let's revisit this all and stir it up again. If there's criminal justice investigations, they're going to continue to move forward. All I'm arguing is we have some really important things to work on. You want to really kind of bring the country together and remember once again how we can get things done. We're going to jump right back into what we've been going through for the last 5 years and stirring it up again with a trial. And it's just going to be bad for the country. It really is.
Marco Rubio there. Yeah, impeachment part deux. Look, when the trial starts, we'll talk more about it. I just, at this point, I feel like it's a non-story. There are other things that people are worried about. People are worried about where their next meal is going to come from as far as their family goes. Can we go grocery shopping this week? Can't we? What are we going to pay, not going to pay? What can we push off till next month? People are worried about, like, when can we get the schools open again and get our kids back in schools? Those things matter to the American people right now. Yes, what took place, we're going almost on 3 weeks ago this week at the Capitol, and the subsequent 6.5, 8 weeks before that with Trump and this entire absolute insanity of was it stolen, wasn't it stolen, look what happened. There's a lot of questions out there that absolutely can be asked. I've got zero problems with that. Election integrity should be of utmost importance. And here's the thing. Nobody ever cares about it in the midterms. You ever notice that? Nobody ever whines and moans and argues about the midterms. But when the president comes along, just in that situation, do we pay any attention to election integrity? Oh, you'll hear people say, well, what about the IDs? And the other people come out, well, you're disproportionately, disenfranchising people of color. And you're like, well, why can't they get IDs? And that goes on. But that's an always thing, and it's something to talk about when politicians are bored to stir the pot. But the reality is we should always care about our elections and the integrity of our elections. But there are other things out there that need to be focused on. And I think most people realize it's time for us to be focusing on those. Senate, they got other things.
There are the three essential items on our plate. The trial of President Trump, now that the House has impeached him, bold, strong COVID relief, and approving the president's cabinet.
Yeah. That's the most important thing, is the last two. President needs his cabinet, and people need to figure out what we're going to be doing with COVID. COVID is running rampant in a lot of places. Other places, it's starting to slow down, but it's still not great. People are still struggling. Businesses are still closed. Some will never reopen. People are finding themselves in financial hardship because states have run everything into the ground. And when it comes to vaccines, oh, sweet mother of God, we've jacked the pooch in more ways than one.
The number of COVID cases across the country is actually slightly down, and we are now hearing that the governor of California is expected to announce that he is lifting that stay-at-home order there. Officials say with all this positive news, though, we do have to stick to those basics. We're not out of the woods yet. Wear your mask, social distance, and make sure to wash your hands.
So those are the things you're supposed to do. Governor has no choice at this point in California. California is in so much pain. And nothing they did worked. Other states did other things, kind of ended up California did. Florida had serious issues, but said, you know what, we're just going to go with it, see what happens. Out here in Arizona, kind of same thing. Different states take different approaches. It's been the same way when it comes to the vaccine. And the vaccine has been a really frustrating thing. And the big reason for that is because it just isn't going fast enough. People aren't getting it fast enough. It's been confusing. Some states have been really good at vaccinating their people if they want to. And I've always said this, and we'll continue to say this, if you want to. Other states have been very bad at vaccinations. For whatever reason, they can't get it together. Don't know why. Some states, it's almost like they're hoarding it. Other states are like, look, you give it to us, we're going to use it. And by the way, use it as in some states, like California is a perfect example of a place where, hey, you know what? We have all these vaccines. We took them out. We're going to give them the ones that are left over that are extra. We're just going to throw those away. Some people didn't show up. We're not going to give it. Some states are like, wait, got an idea. You didn't show up? We're just going to give it to, if there's 4 people in a car and we're vaccinating them, we'll give it all out there. We don't care. We're not going to let it go to waste. That's why to see in so many ways the snapshot that we're going to have of we get out of this over the next several months is what does this look like state by state? Because some states are going to be faring rather well. Other states are going to be struggling big time when it comes to the vaccine, distribution, regulations, all the things they do. And to me, I'm going to say this is where you're going to find out where so many people look at choosing other states and where to live. That's the beauty of our country, is the fact that we have essentially 50 different states that can compete for new people. California, New York are seeing tons of people leave. Why? High cost of living. A lot of people don't like the politics. High cost of living again because you take away just the buying of the house. Think about the cost of gas. Think about the cost of doing business. Think about the high taxes, the regulations, which add on to everything else besides just purchasing a home or renting. So also people can look around and go, you know what? I don't like the way things are being handled here. How is it you guys can only do X amount of people a day? How is that? Why is it only this many people a day? I mean, you think about it. He wants 100 million shots in 100 days. That's not really a lot. It's 1 million a day, which is essentially 20,000 for each state. That's not a lot. I think we could go bigger. I don't know. And then what about the stimulus? There's the cost there. And I look around and that price tag's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Republicans and even some Democrats are balking at that nearly $2 trillion price tag. Even more moderate members like Susan Collins and Mitt Romney say it's just too big, especially since they just passed this $900 billion package last month, and much of that has yet to be spent. But Biden has to walk a very fine line here. If he gives Republicans too many concessions, well, that could put off some Democrats. And with that near even split in the Senate, Biden has very, very little wiggle room here.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. How is he going to work this through? Because you want some bipartisanship, and that's the battle that is going to happen here, is you need some Republicans, and you also need some Democrats, because, you know, there's the like of Joe Manchin and stuff, who is a very, very, very conservative Democrat because he's in a very conservative state. You're in West Virginia, it's very dead red there. And because of that, he walks a fine line. And that's why I've always said when it comes to what takes place in the Senate, look for people like Joe Manchin who are going to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to a lot of the things that are out there, because he knows who the base is. And his base is pretty conservative. Even though he's a Democrat, they're fairly conservative. But that's a ton of money, considering we just rolled out almost $1 trillion. We're going to do it again to the tune of almost $2 trillion. How much of this is actually coronavirus related and how much of this is other things? And we've broken that down on a few occasions. There's a lot of stuff in there. Like usual, they throw, you know, nobody's going to look. And nobody cares, right? Let's throw some mustard. You put something here. You wanted some of this. Everybody's cooking, right? They're adding a little something here, a little something there. It's about targeted and smart. Doesn't mean in 3 months, if we're still in a bad position, we can't go back to the well. But let's be smart as we go forward, which is tough. And this is the problem with politics and the politicians. They strike right now. This is it, because they know nobody holds them accountable when they need to. Spend wisely. But when it's not your money, what do you care? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing every single one of you. Hope you guys are well. A lot of stuff to squeeze into today. I did not win $1 billion. Bummed. We're going to touch on that. Big winners in the NFL. Super Bowl is set, which I'm pumped about. And you have to just say there is a singular GOAT. He may be playing GOAT Jr., but right now, there is a GOAT. And we'll touch on that as well. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. MyPillow. Love my MyPillows. Right? Just, I've got my MyPillows. It's a great pillow. And the other thing is, I always tell everybody, like, what's your favorite thing from there? It's simple. To me, it's one singular thing, and that is my mattress topper. It is just incredible. I sleep extremely well every single night. And for all the other great mattresses and things out there, it's one little thing I did that I tried, and I was like, wow. Right now, save big. Queen size premium pillows, $29.98, $40 saving. King size, $5 more. And you got the best sheets around, the Giza Dream Sheets. Patented adjusted fill, 10-year warranty, machine washable and dryable, which is always great. 60-day money-back guarantee, 100% made in the USA. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener square. There you'll find deep discounts across all of MyPillow's products, including the Dream Sheets and the mattress toppers and everything. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Who is the winner of that $1 billion Mega Millions jackpot?
Just like so ecstatic that it was somebody in our area. I mean, we could have just been right there.
I didn't get the right numbers.
The lucky winner beating the odds of less than 1 in 300 million. Their dreams coming true after buying a ticket at this grocery store here in Novi. The lump sum cash option, nearly $740 million. Neighbors in this city of about 60,000 people hoping some of that will go back into their community.
Yeah, no. Producer Phil, you know the area, right? Like, what's that community like?
It's a nice community. It really is.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe somebody stays there. I don't know if, you're probably not staying there. First of all, how could you stay there, right? You win $1 billion. So I think it gets like 700 million after, if that's what they're going to take as far as the lump. I think we're up to like 750, and all said and done, you're walking with about five and a quarter. It's hard because of the way that people are to stay there, because people are going to look at you differently. Right? They're going to be jealous of you. They're going to want something from you. Very few people, they'll be happy ish, but mostly jealous. And that's hard. Like, you're no longer, and it's different. Like, you see somebody who's a star. You see, but you knew like an NBA guy who comes into money, or a boxer, or an athlete, or even a musician. There's usually a growth period that you see a trajectory and you understand what's going to come. Doesn't mean that people don't look at them different or whatever, but something like this is an overnight thing. And for most of us, you're not going to play in the NBA. You're not going to be a pro baseball player, or you're going to win The Voice and sell, 100 million albums. Most 99.9% of us are never going to do that. But any one of us could win the lottery. And in doing so, you didn't do anything special. You bought a ticket at the right time with a couple bucks, and you had the same chance that all of us had. So that's why it would be tough, because people are going to look at you in a much different way. You're going to be a dollar bill to them. They're going to be jealous of you. And people will say stuff like,
"That's good, someone from here, from Michigan, instead of outside, and then right here close to home." So that's awesome. That is so awesome.
And some people will feel that way, but especially the people that know you. Those people change. And there's always that thought about, money changes people. No, money changes people around you more than it changes the person. You just are more of what you are. If you're a jerk, you're going to be more of a jerk. If you're a nice person, you're going to be more of a nice person. But yeah, I mean, if your neighbor won, you don't think you'd feel a little jealousy? I think for a lot of people they would. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Something's happening today at the White House. Has nothing to do with executive orders or anything. Something we can all get behind. Dogs.
Now that the Bidens have had a few days to get settled into their new home at the White House, their beloved pets have made their way down from Delaware and moved in as well. The first dogs, German Shepherds named Major and Champ, arrived at the White House on Sunday. First Lady Jill Biden's office tells ABC that Major loved running around on the South Lawn and Champ is enjoying his new dog bed by a fireplace. Major is the first rescue dog to ever live in the White House. The Trump family did not have any pets.
No, they didn't. They had chaos, but there was no pets. They don't feel like a pet people to me. It just never did. Like not even a goldfish. That was never the thing. And who knows? Maybe like Barron's like, Dad, I really want a dog. He's like, no, goldfish, never. But it's cool. Dogs moving back in. I'd have a lion. President Chad Benson brings a lion into the White House. Komodo dragon, taking it for a walk. Maybe a llama. Turn the whole lawn, just the entire lawn in the South, all of it, everything into a zoo. You guys, I have to go. And I'd bring like one of them. Like imagine sitting there with a lion when you're having a meeting, in a cabinet meeting, and it's kind of hungry and it's, what'd you say? I did, what? I'm just curious. What? Oh, settle down, Fluffy. I think he just made a mistake. Carol Baskins. How did you get him to eat your husband? I mean, allegedly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. All right, we're going to talk about it. Super Bowl 55. It's going to be interesting. It is. Last night was very interesting. I got it wrong. So did the Packers, I think, in a lot of ways. We'll touch on that. More on the coronavirus and the chaos that goes there. Plus, Rand Paul gets into it a little bit with George Stephanopoulos. And the thing that's not being talked about when it comes to voter fraud that should be talked about. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
One more snap. Mahomes goes to a knee. The trophy stays here because the Lamar Hunt Trophy stays anchored in the hearts of everyone who shares Lamar Hunt's vision. The Chiefs' kingdom captures the trophy and it stays here. Yes.
Last call yesterday, Chiefs Network. Lamar Hunt Trophy, that's what you get for winning the AFC. Lamar Hunt, of course, used to own the Chiefs. Family still owns the Chiefs. 3 years he's been a starter. 4 years in the NFL, 3 years a starter. Patrick Mahomes is revolutionizing football as we know it, and everybody's looking for their Patrick Mahomes. Last night, the Bills, I thought the defense would be better, and they didn't seem, they got punched in the face after they were up 9, and I thought, well, they're going to react, they're going to come out. The problem is they don't have what the Chiefs have. Not just Patrick Mahomes, because I think Allen is a hell of a quarterback, but the reality is they don't have the explosive play. I mean, you look, Tyreek Hill, gone. I mean, just everybody, play after play. There was somebody on that team that makes a play that is big time. Got the best tight end potentially in the game, the best quarterback. Tyreek Hill is just like, you know, what do you play him? Inbounds. Where are you going to play him? I'm going to play him inbounds. I don't care how he gets the ball. I don't care if I hand it off to him. I don't care if I flick it to him. Right? I don't care if I just throw him a short pass, a long pass. Get him the ball and watch him go. Nobody can cover him. And that's going to be a problem for the team that will be facing them And they, too, surprised everybody in Green Bay. It was Tampa.
Victory formation. 3 consecutive post-game wins on the road for Tom Brady. The Bucs win. Bucs win. Tampa Bay is heading to the Super Bowl.
Yes, they are. At home. First time in the history of the NFL, a team will host the Super Bowl while also playing it. The Rams didn't play in it in 79. I think there was one other team, the 49ers, that was in Stanford, also not their home field. Rams played at the Rose Bowl, which is not where the Rams were playing. So this is going to be awesome. A little bit of an advantage in that sense because you're home. You're not traveling the way that you would. You're home, things semi-normal, as normal as they can be in this crazy COVID world. But can we just marvel? You don't have to like the guy. A lot of people don't. Tom Brady's 43. And he's going to another Super Bowl. Everybody questioned who'd win a Super Bowl quicker. Would it be Bill Belichick and the Patriots? They struggled this year. They did. They struggled. A couple of their big guys decided not to play on the defensive side because of COVID, so they opted out for the year. On the other side of it, they just didn't have any offensive weapons, kind of like the last few years with Tom Brady. And the smoke and mirrors without him just didn't work. Tom Brady goes, no offseason with his team. Struggle a bit at first, pick it up in the middle of the season, start to look better, get to the playoffs, and they win 3 straight games. And now they're playing in the Super Bowl. But there was a weird play yesterday. So there it is. You're looking and you're saying to yourself, Green Bay's got the ball, they're driving, they're down, and the decision was to kick a field goal. Was not to go for it. It was none of those things. It was to kick a field goal when they had a chance to tie the game. They said, "Now we're gonna kick a field goal."
I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
No, Aaron Rodgers. And now the question is, what will he do? Because there's about everybody in the NFL is essentially a free agent, potentially. Either wants out, will be traded, or is a free agent.
There's a lot of unknowns going into this offseason now. And I'm going to have to take some time away for sure and clear my head and just kind of see what's going on with everything. But it's pretty tough right now.
Yeah. I would bet. Pretty tough. They had everything. Cold, freezing day. Didn't get the snow they wanted, but they did have snow before the game. Green Bay had everything. Even had fans in the stands. And Tom Brady, especially the first 45 minutes, picked him apart. Did throw 3 picks, but what a hell of a down. And I'm excited. You got the GOAT. There's no argument who the great. 10 Super Bowls he's going to. This is his 10th. He's been in the league, 20 years? 21 years? Every other year, essentially, he's in the Super Bowl. In a world of salary caps, in a world of ever-changing players and ever-changing schemes, this guy's there. Crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. So Johnson & Johnson's getting closer to releasing their vaccine, which we need, and I'll tell you why.
Johnson & Johnson's expecting their phase 3 trial results sometime in the next 2 weeks. That means that they could be before the FDA for emergency use authorization by mid-February.
And why that's important is it's one shot. As we all know, we tend to not always be consistent in a lot of the stuff that we do. So asking people to go and get a second shot may not work the way that people, want. Oh, really? I got to go across the street? But what about, oh, man, there's a lot of that. But right now we're struggling with the vaccine in general that we have from Moderna and Pfizer.
Millions of doses are being delivered throughout the country every week. But in New York City, Citi Field, the home of the Mets, was supposed to open as a mass vaccination site this week. City officials telling ABC News that plan has been delayed due to the shortage of vaccine on the federal level.
Is it the shortage of the feds? What's the problem with what's going on? Why aren't we getting shots in arms?
A year of really amazing scientific breakthrough and discovery created this vaccine in record time. And we have seen the initial wave of vaccinations take place. That is progress we are building on. There's no question about it. But the process to distribute the vaccine, particularly outside of nursing homes and hospitals, out into the community as a whole, did not really exist when we came into the White House. The process of getting that vaccine into arms, that's the hard process. That's where we're behind as a country, and that's where we're focused in the Biden administration on getting that ramped up.
Ron Klain right there. Chief spokesperson. Guy that's kind of like the dude for the Biden administration. Out and about, talking to everybody about this is what we're trying to do. There's only so much you can do on the federal side. There is. I talked to Dr. Carmona, who was a former Surgeon General under W, last week, and he said, so much of this is, yes, there's a break in communication, and the plan that Trump had wasn't a great plan. It was really had nothing to do with Trump. His administration, as far as getting this thing out, wasn't a great plan. But at the end of the day, it's getting it to the states, and then the states distributing it, and every state and every county and every city seems to be doing something completely different.
Where is the holdup? Is this on the states and how they've been distributing? Where is the bottleneck?
I think it's many bottlenecks. We need more vaccine. We need more vaccinators. We need more vaccination sites. And in the Biden administration, we're tackling all three. We're going to take responsibility at the federal government. We're going to own this problem. We're going to work closely with the states. We're going to set up these federal vaccination centers to make sure that in states that don't have enough vaccination sites, we fill those gaps. We're going to work closely with the manufacturers to ramp up production.
And that's a lot of what needs to be done, is the ramping up. But the other side of it is we were expecting by now, I think, a lot of people thought it would be at CVS, Walgreens, places that you didn't have to go to a mass vaccination site, wait in line. And that's the other thing. In line's one thing. Online's a completely different thing. Every state's doing their own thing, which is fine. It seems to be really complicated in a lot of places. And we're asking the people who are most vulnerable, who aren't computer literate, to do a bunch of things on a computer. It's just been a giant show. So we have to do better. And I think once we get it into places like CVS, like Walgreens, where people have much easier access to it, you'll see it really take off. And then that question still lingers over everybody's head, is how many people are going to get it? Because there is a certain level of herd immunity that we strive for. So this thing is virtually non-existent. And are we going to get there fast? Are we going to get there in a way where we're not sitting around? And I think that the problem is, and this is, again, goes back to what I talked about with the states. Your state may do a great job. The state next door may suck. Your state may do a great job, and you'll notice by April, May, June, things not only open up, but it feels like it was pre-coronavirus. People are back at work. Things are busier. People are going to the movies, sporting events, things of that nature. The state next door may be struggling big time with flare-ups here, there, and everywhere because not as many people want to get it, and even when the opportunity has been there, they've struggled to get it out into people's arms. But we need that probably, because I said, Dr. Carmona, again, he was the former Surgeon General under W. And I said, what do we really need to get to for herd immunity? He said 60, 70%. He goes, if we get 50% vaccinated, based on the data that we have as far as how many people we think have already had this, then we should get to a point where we are close to that herd immunity. Because, he goes, depending on what you're looking at, as far as how many multiples they think of people who've had this, who've just been asymptomatic. Some people say it's double. He goes, we've looked at anywhere between 4 and 6 times what's reported. So even at 4 times, you would be looking at closing in on what right now, about 100 million-ish. So And know this, that when it comes to the children aren't going to get this, so the school children, that doesn't matter. So we're getting there, but it's slow. And at the rate we're going to get there through herd immunity based on the old-fashioned ways. You caught it, you survived. Good for you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, tweet at us, text the program. Somebody text me about the Mega Million winner, and it's interesting. They said, Chad, he goes, how could you say that money doesn't change you? I'm not saying money doesn't change you, but the way it changes you more often than not, it's not every time, but it just makes you more of the person that you are. If you're a jerk, right, you're going to be a jerk no matter what. If you're a jerk when you're poor, I expect you to be a jerk when you're rich. If you're nice when you're rich, when you're poor, I expect you to be nice when you have money. But I do think more often than not, the people around you, somebody goes overnight and wins $500 million after taxes plus. Yeah, people are going to look at that person different. Oh, I beg to disagree. Well, we can disagree. It's the beauty of my show. I love it. I love hearing from everybody who disagrees. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. AMAC, Association, Mature American Citizens. Right now, I think it's $16 a year to join. It's great. First of all, let me tell you some of the stuff that AMAC does. They have all kinds of benefits, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, you name it, they've got it. Benefits, if you need help with Social Security, which so many people are asking about, hey, I'm turning, 62, 65. When's the best time to take this? I'm still working. I'm not working. And people have questions. You have questions for Medicare. They'll help you through all of the process. They're a phone call away. On top of that, they're in D.C., full-time presence, fighting for things like, hey, let's not spend money the way that we've been spending it. How can we help when it comes to small businesses and secure the borders as well with common sense immigration reform? Join today. Take advantage of all the benefits, plus the great things they do for you. It's simple and easy. You go to amac.us/Chad. I encourage you, pennies a day. The benefits are absolutely amazing. And the membership is great. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Sir Paul McCartney next on Larry King Live.
Larry King began hosting Larry King Live on CNN in 1985 with a virtual who's who in entertainment, politics, sports, and other newsmakers. In 2010, King announced he was stepping down from his show.
I don't know what to say except my audience. Thank you.
But King wasn't gone for long. In 2012, he launched Larry King Now on Hulu TV. I once asked Larry King how he wanted to be remembered.
I'm sure I left a mark, but I'm not sure what's coming.
Yeah, Larry King passed away. Always said he wanted to die on air. Just one of those guys that, you look at him. So here's the thing about Larry King. No high school education really to speak of. Born in Brooklyn. His name, you go back, his first big gig was being a disc jockey in Miami. And it was hilarious that, he barely got through high school. His mom said you could do anything. He goes, he gets this job in Florida, right? He's there, and he struggled. And his name, his name is just goofy. So the guy said, the guy who's running the station says, hey, Ziegler's too hard to remember. And he goes, well, what do you want me to call myself? And he goes, Larry chose the surname King because he was walking, and right there on the desk was a Miami Herald, and it says King's Wholesale Liquor. And he goes, King. Tried liquor for a while. Didn't work. King. And that's the way that are rolled out. And that guy did so much stuff. Married a lot, some kids, some tragedy with lost a couple kids over the last couple years, but definitely was a character with the suspenders and just being able to be confrontational, ask the real questions. And for a long time, it was about being on that show. Like if you got on that show, Larry got the interview. Barbara Walters and Larry King. Still working. Well into his 80s. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. So, like I said, impeachment, part 2. I'll focus a bit on the trial. I'm not going to focus on the rest of the crap because at this moment in time, I think a lot of us are like, there are other things out there. COVID is still here. Whether you think it's real or not, doesn't matter. Got the new variant that's out. That's coming from South Africa. There's other ones they're looking at. Seems to be Moderna, and others seem to do okay with their vaccines against it. But there are other things out there. Plus, we got the Super Bowl set. Got the Chiefs, defending champs, led by Patrick Mahomes, taking on the GOAT, Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady. It's going to be awesome, kids. It's going to be awesome. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We need to help people who still are unemployed. We need to help businesses that are still struggling. The greatest way to have the economy recover is, number one, to get the pandemic under control, and then two, to get people through this economic time.
Absolutely. Period. Case closed. You know, Bill, are you going to cover impeachment? No, I will cover the trial. I'm not going to focus on stuff that the average person at this point in time, it's not that they don't care. Some they don't care. I mean, that's just some they don't care about politics at all. They don't care about any of this stuff that goes on. They're living their own lives. But most people are focused on the day-to-day of, what am I going to do with my kids? Like, are they going to school? They not going to school? They are today. They're not. How's this going to work? What am I going to do with my business? Because I can be partially open, but it depends on the day. There are other things that people are focused on. The stimulus being one of them. Is there another stimulus coming?
People need checks in their pockets, and we will increase the overall amount people get to $2,000 a person. That would be $4,000 for a couple, $8,000 for a family of 4.
That's a lot of money. That is a ton of money. I don't know if we need to give that much money out. People need to get back to work. That's what people need. People don't need checks. They need checks from their work. They need checks from their employers. Their employers need to be out there opening up so they can have revenue for themselves. That's what people need. But alas, here we are. We're at a situation where they're going to hand out more money. More money. That's what they're going to do. People need to get back to work. It's pretty simple. And this thing's going to be expensive.
Republicans and even some Democrats are balking at that nearly $2 trillion price tag. Even more moderate members like Susan Collins and Mitt Romney say it's just too big, especially since they just passed this $900 billion package last month, and much of that has yet to be spent. But Biden has to walk a very fine line here. If he gives Republicans too many concessions, well, that could put off some Democrats. And with that near even split in the Senate, Biden has very, very little wiggle room here.
No, he doesn't have a lot of wiggle room, and he also realizes there's some conservative-ish Democrats that are out there who are in a position where they know that they have to be a little bit more independent-minded when it comes to certain things, because the states they happen to be in, Joe Manchin being the biggest one, is dead red, and the reality is, at times, he's got to say to themselves and everybody else, yeah, I'm going to go with the Republicans on this one. But the amount of money is, I mean, we're handing out a ton of money, but there's also a ton of money in this thing. There's a lot, because not everybody's getting $8,000, or you have a family of 4, and it's you start breaking it down. It's people want to get out there and work. People want to work now. People want to go back to work. Not everybody. Some people are like, no, I like this, Chad. This is fine. But people want a normal way of doing things. They want to be able to go to the movies. They want to be able to see their kids back in school. Las Vegas is like we're opening up our schools. We have another pandemic going on here. We have kids in suicide. It's not just taking an uptick. It's spiked big time. We need to get kids back in school. And this is where the battle comes in certain parts of the country because, well, unions and stuff, Chicago being a massive union.
The Chicago Teachers Union voting to defy an order from Chicago Public Schools for 10,000 kindergarten to 8th grade teachers and other staff to return to school on Monday. The Teachers Union opposes returning to classrooms over health concerns from COVID-19 and says the district's safety plans fall short. It also says before teachers return to school, vaccinations should be more widespread. The standoff comes as President Biden's administration aims to reopen schools within his first 100 days.
So you're going to play this game about schools. This is what you're going to do. You're going to play this game. Yeah, of course. Because for them, it's about other things. People want to get back to work. And part of that is the fact that kids are at home. Big time at home. Parents making decisions. Should I go to school today? Oh, you're not? Okay, well then I'm gonna have to stay home and work. So I can't go to work. You got to stay home. And then the husband, and then it's going back. It's frustrating. You want to get people checks, get them back to work. Get them back to work. Each state's got to do their own thing. Each state is struggling with that. I realize that. I think a lot of people do. One of them is, do we even have any of these shots that we need desperately?
Millions of doses are being delivered throughout the country every week. But in New York City, Citi Field, the home of the Mets, was supposed to open as a mass vaccination site this week. City officials telling ABC News that plan has been delayed due to the shortage of vaccine on the federal level.
And it is a shortage. Now we have to ask the question is, why is there a shortage? Because you're hearing things like Moderna and Pfizer both going, hey, we got them. Why aren't you guys getting them? How's this going? And I break it down to you, too. The 100 million, it sounds like, whoa. But in reality, 100 million in 100 days is only like 20,000 a state. Some states should easily do 40, 50,000. Shouldn't even be any, like California should be doing 100,000 plus a day. New York, same thing. Florida, Texas as well. Other states, smaller. They don't need to. They don't need to do. But when you break it down, it's only 20,000 shots per state a day. So 100 million is very reasonable. But we also have to have it. And then you've got this other one that's out there, the new variant. How dangerous is it or isn't it, Dr. Fauci?
When they went and became more granular and looked at the data, they became convinced that it is, in fact, a bit more virulent, namely making it more difficult when you get to the point of serious disease and even death.
Is it more deadly? Probably not. I mean, the UK says maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's like everything else. It's a new version of it. Moderna says, look, our vaccine works across all of these. Is shown to work in this one as well. But is it easier to catch, which does make it more deadly? When that net gets much bigger, then you realize how, even though it may be on par with the flu when all is said and done and we look back at the numbers, remember, the flu, we have a vaccine for that, and it still spreads. We have treatments for that, and people still die. So when we look at this thing, realize that, yeah, the flu spreads much easier than we probably think because we have vaccines. We have a lot of these things. This one supposedly really spreads easy.
did a study. I think it went from 1 per 1,000 deaths in a certain group to 1.3 per 1,000, which is a significant increase. So I believe their data. I haven't seen all of it, but from what I've heard, I believe the data.
So we'll see. We'll see what this looks like. And now Biden's got to figure out, going forward, how does he attack this thing? Because at the end of the day, the ball's in your court. It's you. Bill Maher this weekend said, Trump's not here anymore. So you can't blame him for everything. It's you. How does he do it? In a way where it looks like there is an actual want to work together.
I'm not going to give out the names, but it's, 16 members, 8 Republicans, 8 Democrats, and we're going to continue making that bipartisan push and bipartisan effort.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are finding out that there are a lot of Democrats, especially in the House, that are making overtures that they're willing to work with the Democrats. You got the Republicans and the Democrats coming together, but like we've talked about, they have to do it behind closed doors. We're not going to give you the names because we want people to be canceled. We're not going to give you the names because if we told you, the social media nut jobs on both sides would attack, and we don't need that. What we need is some cohesiveness. Where can we agree? We can hammer out the rest of the stuff. It's not surprising what each side wants in certain things. We know that. Where's the agreement? Is it 75% of this we kind of agree on? Let's start there. It's a great starting point. Where can we come together? And then we can work out some of the other details. Remember, there's must-haves and wants. 2 separate things. These are the things I must have, will not bend upon. And these are the wants. More often than not, they agree on a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to spending our money. But there's a few things, and a lot of them for the Democrats, it's issue-based. Rather than stimulus, COVID, it's things like the intersectionality world, that they want to put things in there that are more issue-based as a societal thing rather than a political thing. So where do we meet in the middle on the things we agree upon?
And I think the American people deserve a bipartisan response to the crises that are happening around us, and something that we haven't seen in a long time. Very incredibly historical, what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. So I think we will find some things we agree upon, and then from there, we'll see what takes place. How long are they going to battle each other over certain things? And are they willing to give a little here and there to get to the point where they move us forward enough that we can see some actual work being done? And there'll be the battles on immigration. As the Republicans, there's a hill you die on. There's a hill you die on. That's one of those things that you go, you know what? No. There's this isn't happening. So there are going to be some places where you say, this is it. This is where we fight it out. Other things you're thinking, you know what? I don't really want that, but at the same time, we're going to need to lay it all out somewhere else, and this ain't it. Immigration, absolutely it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program, ExpressVPN. Let me tell you something. Never in the history of ever has there been a better time to make sure that you hide your data. So the social media world that we all live in, let's be real, we're always on social media in some way, shape, or form. By and large, most of us are. And you are not the end product. You're the bait. Your data is important to them. That's why I use ExpressVPN. It's simple and easy. I anonymize much of my online presence, hide my IP address, makes the activity to trace and sell my data to advertisers so much more difficult. Plus, ExpressVPN encrypts 100% of your data to protect you from eavesdroppers on your network. And it's simple. One tap on your computer or phone, and boom, you're protected. And I love it because the reality is your data is yours. And to them, it's theirs. And it makes you a valuable commodity. Don't give them the pleasure of being a valuable commodity in this day and age. Hide yourself. and your data. Take back your online privacy with VPN I trust. It is the best. ExpressVPN.com/Benson. Visit my link. You're going to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN service for free on a 1-year package. And I think it's like 16 cents a day. It's something so ridiculous. ExpressVPN.com. ExpressVPN.com/Benson. ExpressVPN.com/Benson. Protect your data today. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look and see what's trending on the old interwebs. Start on the Twitterverse world. Some interesting stuff over there. Tell you, Twitter it's a hit or miss, but mostly politics, right? Like Twitter lives in a world of politics, and lots of that. Dominion suing Rudy Giuliani for $1.3 billion in damages. Not been a good year for Rudy. Just going to let you know that. GameStop. Rocket and rolling. Their shares jump another 50% above $100. Trading's halted. Why? Very interesting. Budweiser said that they're going to dial back the advertising during the Super Bowl. Some are saying they're not going to advertise at all this year. And the New York Post and Josh Hawley. He wrote an op-ed piece. It says, it's time for us to stand up against the muzzling of America. And I understand what he's saying. Not a fan of Josh Hawley and some of the way he's acted. I think he's tried to be something he's not at times. And we'll touch on that. But the Missouri senator who has, been tossed in with Ted Cruz as people that need to go because of what they did on the floor that day. And we're going to touch on that because Ted Cruz is he's in a little tiff with Seth Rogen. And the movie Fantasia. Like, that's like, of all the things to be in a tiff. Rogan tweeted out something after Ted Cruz's response to a MGM studio tweet asking, what was the first film you saw in theaters? He said, I saw Fantasia, the revival of Fantasia, 1940s film. Scared me. I cried. I was almost 4. My mom had to take me out. Good times. Seth Rogen says everyone who made that film would hate you. In which Ted replied, well, they're all dead. Which I thought's perfect. And it was kind of funny. So he goes, so I think we're all good. And he goes, by the way, Walt Disney was a Republican. It's kind of funny. And the Super Bowl, the number one trending thing in the last 24 hours is the Super Bowl 2021. Date, odds, halftime show, obviously the weekend. It's going to be 22,000+ people there. And right now, it is a small advantage to the Chiefs, 3.5-point spread. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. Chiefs cannot get there. Normally you get there Sunday or Saturday of this week. You have a week, but because of COVID, they're not going to get there until Friday. So it's a different way to do things. And does Tampa have an advantage, seeing as they're essentially playing a home game? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
An NBA team's new experimental defense against the coronavirus. COVID-19 detection dogs, similar to the canines on patrol at airports around the world. Later this week, the Miami Heat will station specially trained dogs at entrances to the American Airlines Arena to try to sniff out the virus that causes COVID-19.
Yeah, so the Heat are going to allow some fans, and the way it works is they're going to smell you. What? Yeah, you got any stank on you? You got some stank? You got some stank? What if you do?
Dogs will sniff fans before entering by walking past them. If the dog sits, that signals they may have detected COVID-19, and that fan will be asked to leave along with their group and give it a full refund.
So that's the way it works. Does it work, huh?
Medical specialists point out that research done in this area is exciting but preliminary. No study has been scrutinized by peer review or tried in a public place like the arena where the Heat play, and the FDA has not signed off on this method of screening.
Not a shock. Not a shock. It's just, it makes people, look, here's the reality of it. It makes people feel better. Like the mask. You know, people last week said, Chad, somebody said to me, because I was talking about the mask, and they said, well, maybe next time you have, if you have surgery, your family has surgery, you should have the doctors and nurses wear no mask in the surgery. I'm like, what are you talking about? You said masks don't work. I never said that. I said the masks that work, really, you ain't getting, right? You're buying a mask at yesterday I was in, I went shopping. I think it was in Ross or something like that. And I'm in there. They're selling masks in line. You mean that's the mask? The mask that you're going to, I wash mine all the time. I wash mine all the time. You don't. You know you don't. I wash mine maybe once or twice a week, and I have 2 or 3 of them, and I rotate through them. But you walk into the other room, you put your mask on, right? You get into what do you do with it when you take it off? Do you put it in a special place that makes it just all nice and pretty and somehow it just goes and gets all the virus off of it and cleans it? No, you don't. You throw it on your desk. Sometimes it falls on the floor. Sometimes you stick it in your pocket. You stick it in your purse. That's the reality of it. But it makes people feel like there's a sense of security. Kind of like when you go to the airport. You're like, oh, look, it's TSA. They're catching nothing but a placebo effect. It makes some people feel good. The reality is this real?
Adding innovative tools like dog sniffing, of course, is really exciting, but it shouldn't give this false sense of security. And truthfully, we should be still relying on widespread testing to fully get this pandemic under control.
Yeah. We should be, but we're not. You know that, and I know that. And even when you have widespread testing, it's not foolproof. The best thing is social distancing. And yes, wearing a mask but helps, but is it the right mask? Do you have an N95? Is it clean? As I told the person who tweeted at me, yeah, you know what? I would rather a doctor wear no mask than a mask that has been worn in several surgeries throughout the days and then wear it in with mine. Who's with me on that? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Can we unite? It's very interesting when we talk about the uniting of this country. And I said last week, a lot's been put on, the plate of the new president, Biden, on whether or not we can unite. And part of the reason is because both sides, when they have the opportunity, they want to run wild, as you would do. You got your first 100 days, you're going to go at it. And, the whole thought process of uniting sounds like a good thing. And the funny thing is, in the political world, that's a tough thing. Most of us, we're good. We're good. We have some things we don't see eye to eye on, but it's not everybody. Politics isn't the forefront of everybody's mind 24/7. So most of us, the exhaustive majority, we're good. On the political side of things, it's tough.
Republicans are talking about unity. They also seem to think that unity means compromising, specifically on policy. How do you see it?
How about if we're unified against insurrection? How about if we're unified for accountability? Unity starts with accountability. And then unity is about doing the work that the American people want done. We need accountability. Accountability for Donald Trump.
Well, that's fine, but I think most people are at the point where they're like, okay, great, you guys are going to impeach him again. You spent the last God knows how long impeaching him. I think most people are like, yeah, he needs to be held accountable, but there are other things that people are looking for you guys to do at this moment in time than this. Not that it's not important, but there are other things that people are looking at. And yeah, you know what? Part of the unity thing is give and take, not stomping down on one side or the other. And what ends up happening usually in politics is the people that take over, right? Whoever this, Republicans, Democrats, they usually have an opportunity to run hog wild for a little while. They do that, and then we check them. Because we're like, that's not. Because nobody has the common sense or forethought to say, all right, look, here's the deal. If I'm really going to be a person that's going to govern for everybody, I've got to realize that there's going to be some give and take, and that includes our side. But that's the battle that has to happen if you're a president, because you're going to have to go battle your side for things that you're going to see as an overreach that's not going to be a good look for the party or yourself. Do I think Trump needs to be impeached? Whether I believe it or not, it's happening. Is it good for the country? Again, it's happening.
I think the president bears responsibility for some of what happened. I think that's separate from the notion of let's revisit this all and stir it up again. If there's criminal justice investigations, they're going to continue to move forward. All I'm arguing is we have some really important things to work on. You want to really kind of bring the country together and remember once again how we can get things done. We're going to jump right back into what we've been going through for the last 5 years and stirring it up again with the trial. And it's just going to be bad for the country. It really is.
Senator Rubio right there. And he's right. It's not going to be great for the country, but it does need to happen. There are questions that need to be asked across the board, and I think it's going to be deeper than just what took place that day, especially over the last several weeks leading up to it after the election. You know, people got on me. They said, Chad, there was fraud. I don't see any fraud. The fraud that the way that people are like Trump is saying there was fraud. I just don't. But there are questions that need to be answered about the way that some things were done in certain states that went against the Constitution, that non-elected officials made decisions about, that absolutely should be talked about.
Senator Paul, let me begin with a threshold question for you. This election was not stolen. Do you accept that fact?
The debate over whether or not there was fraud should occur. We never had any presentation in court where we actually looked at the evidence. Most of the cases were thrown out for lack of standing, which is a procedural way of not actually hearing the question. There were several states in which the law was changed by the Secretary of State and not the state legislature. To me, those are clearly unconstitutional. And I think there's still a chance that those actually do finally work their way up to the Supreme Court.
And I don't know if they will. And the reason for that is who's going to keep up that fight. And why it's important is because we should want integrity when it comes to our election each and every time that we have an election. We do a postmortem. We break it down. Where did things go right? Where did things go wrong? We look at it. Can we make things safer and better? Absolutely. Was there a lot of insanity of people running around screaming about things that just didn't add up in any way, shape, or form when it comes to the Dominion machine, and they stole this and they did that, and everybody's deep state? That was a bunch of crap. I don't buy into it. But he's right. He's right about that. Some states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, few things were done where you say you're not an elected official, you're not part of the legislator. What happened in like Pennsylvania, there was some stuff that was like, okay, we're doing this because of the pandemic, and I'm making essentially the call to do some of these things. I'm not saying it was stolen, because I don't think it was stolen. I don't. I think Trump still has a tough time realizing he did not win this thing. It wasn't stolen. But can't we ask some questions? Don't you want that? Absolutely. For a lot of people, this isn't about the integrity of an election going forward. 2022 means nothing to them. 2024 means this was about Donald Trump. So many of those people that took to the Capitol that day, this was about Donald Trump, not the integrity of election. Because if you go and look around the country, as everybody says, oh, the Republicans are fractured and they're falling apart, go look at the state houses across the country. They picked up majorities in a lot of places that they didn't have it. They won back seats in the House. This was at the top something that Trump couldn't deal with, and blames it on, well, they had to cheat.
This election was not stolen. All of the facts point in that direction. I'm a former prosecutor. I make decisions based upon evidence, not based upon feelings or partisanship or loyalty. You make those decisions based upon evidence. And the evidence here has shown right from the beginning that while every election has some irregularities, and I'm sure this one did too, there were no type of irregularities that would have changed the result in any one state, let alone the 4 states that would need to have been changed for the result of the election have been changed. And
he's right. And so many of these people that jumped on board, the Hawleys and the Gosars and the Biggs and the Mo Brooks and a lot of these other people, this was about raising their profile more than it was about the reality of what took place. But questions can absolutely be asked, 100%. And Trump is going to have to face impeachment trial in the Senate. And there's going to be a lot of questions about the run-up to that day as well as that day. And there are going to be questions about, did you try to push people out and replace them with people who are absolutely loyal to you, who are willing to do anything for you to protect you and to try to overturn some of these things? Those are questions that need to be answered. But we can also ask questions like, hey, why are people who are non-elected officials making decisions for the people? Why are people who are not legislators making decisions? Fair to ask. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Again, pumped about the Super Bowl.
Victory formation. 3 consecutive post-game wins on the road for Tom Brady. The Bucs win. Bucs win. Tampa Bay is heading to the Super Bowl.
So they played Washington, got by them, the team that shall remain nameless. They played New Orleans, got by them. And yesterday went to Green Bay, got by them. And now they're home for the Super Bowl. He's 43 years of age. He had an amazing year. Some of those passes yesterday, he has still got he's got a gun. And it was interesting to see that, you know, when he was Bruce Arians, the coach, was like, when Tom was in New England, it's Belichick, it's the Belichick way, it's all of those things that you would think it is. Like, Tom didn't have the kind of influence maybe that I think a lot of people thought. He goes, I've got him here, and sometimes I just let him do his thing. He wants to coach on the field, I let him coach on the field. He wants to coach at practice, I let him coach at practice. He's got knowledge, I let him do those things. It's kind of freeing, I'm sure. But still, your 10th Super Bowl? My goodness me. That is the GOAT, kids. That is the GOAT. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. I actually have a Twitter question. It's a simple one. Who wins? Who wins? Buccaneers, Chiefs. Right now, the Bucs. 64.7 to 35.3. Tweet at me. Take the quiz poll thingy-mabobber at Chad Benson Show on the old Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call. You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
Just a loudmouth.
The world needs him to stop what's coming. And this child, she's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same.
That is the Warner Brothers Godzilla vs. King Kong film that is supposed to come out in March, but probably will not be coming out. But it looks amazing. And yes, they fight it out. That's what you want. That's why it's called King Kong versus Godzilla. About $200 million they spent on it. And now you got to ask yourself, is it going to come out on HBO Max? It was supposed to be released simultaneously, HBO Max and in the theaters. Still hemming and hawing of what to do with that. But it has got, it's awesome. I mean, it's just incredible. Looks amazing. Everybody's like, who will win? Will it be Godzilla? Will it be King Kong? And Godzilla's in a weird place, right? Because Godzilla's like one of those things where you're like, in some movies, we like you. And sometimes you're like, I hate Tokyo. And then people are like, why would you keep rebuilding? Like, Japan shouldn't worry about climate change. They need to worry about Godzilla. So sometimes it's different because sometimes, Godzilla, she comes to the rescue. It's a she. Well, if you go back to the old Toho movies, because it was a she. But she comes to the rescue and she fights another monster. King Kong's always kind of been Kong. They fought before in the 70s. So this is kind of a rematch. I weirdly have a feeling that they're going to brawl and fight it out. But they end up teaming up. And like a great band, like a duo. And no, like Hall and Oates. Which one's Hall? Which one's Oates? And they're going to fight another monster. I'm just pumped about it. But that's a movie. There's a perfect example of a movie I want to see in a theater. I want the popcorn. I want the whole thing. I want to see that in the theater. I want the loud noises, the trailers before. That's the stuff I want to see in the theater. I saw News of the World at home. Amazing movie. That should have been a movie that was really, it's a great movie. Tom Hanks. Essentially, it's about back in the day, he's a Civil War, right? Former, retired, out of, just the necessity of helping people. He goes from town to town and he reads the news to everybody, brings the news. And he helps the little girl. I don't want to give it all away. Amazing, incredible. Another one of those fantastic things. It's a Western. It's all the things I love. It's great. I would love to have seen that in the movie. Got to see it at home, and it was awesome. But that's what movie theaters are facing now. This weekend, I think The Marksman, which was, did like $2 million. That was the number one movie out there. And you're still sitting there. AMC got bailed out to the tune of $900 million, but it's another one of these things that you don't think about as we go through the pandemic because it's restaurants, this, that, and the other, is things like the average person going to a theater and seeing a movie. See News of the World, by the way. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's just great. Check it out. 323-538-2324. I'm telling you, Buccaneers, Chiefs, take the poll. Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Yes! Selection part deux. I'm not going to play the game. When the trial starts, we'll talk about it. Until then, there's other things that people are looking at, which is how do we get ourselves back out there doing the things that need to get done, which is simply getting through this damn virus so we can all get back to work. It's number one thing that should be going on right now.
People need checks in their pockets.
No.
And we will increase the overall amount people get to $2,000 a person. That would be $4,000 for a couple, $8,000 for a family of four.
People need to work. Kids need school. That's what people need. They don't want the free lunch. They don't want they want to get back to work. They want to get these states open. You guys are focusing a little bit on something else, but there's two things that you need to focus on even more if Biden's going to be successful in a lot of the things that the Democrats want to do.
There are three essential items on our plate. The trial of President Trump, now that the House has impeached him, bold, strong COVID relief, and approving the president's cabinet.
The trial's going to happen. That is what it is. I'm not. It is, and when it happens, again, we'll follow that. I don't want to get into the reality show politics of it. It just doesn't interest me. For a lot of people, it does. For the people who hate Trump, it's very exciting. I think most people just want to get on and start saying, all right, so what are we going to do? How are we going to get through this thing? What's happening out there as far as vaccines, as far as the coronavirus reopening up states? How is this going on? Those are questions that need to be asked. Depending on the state, whatever state you're in, maybe you're doing okay. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're in a position where you're looking around, you're saying, all right, look, things are working out a little bit better, but there's still a lot of work to do. Looks like the vaccine is rolling out okay. Other states, you're awful. I'm in Arizona. We're awful. California and Arizona are a joke. But we've also handled it differently. We've stayed mostly open, minus a few things. California is shut completely down. New York's been a little bit of both, depending on the week, but they've been mostly closed down. And everybody is still in a position where it doesn't seem to matter what you do. It doesn't. Outside of shutting everything down and staying inside your house, the UK said yesterday they got 30,000 new cases. And they don't know how. With the nation is just basically completely locked down. Because at some point, as we've talked about on this show, you have to learn how to live with it, through it, and around it. Because it's going to get to the point where it is going to be in so many places that there may not be anything you can do until we get a vaccine and or herd immunity, or both. We get there because of the vaccine.
The number of COVID cases across the country is actually slightly down, and we are now hearing that the governor of California is expected to announce that he is lifting that stay-at-home order there. Officials say with all this positive news, though, we do have to stick to those basics. We're not out of the woods yet. Wear your mask, social distance, and make sure to wash your hands.
Yeah. And what about masking? Right, that's the new thing.
Aerosol scientists are starting to see that, yes, possibly 2 masks may be better at blocking escape of viral particles than just one. And it may be better at protecting the person wearing them. But again, we're still following that.
Well, of course, 2 masks, 3 masks, 5 masks. How about this? Why don't we just all of us get hazmat suits? Yeah, it's not very funny. Masks help. Masks do help somewhat. I mean, after a while, I think it's just, how long have you had your mask? Like Producer Phil, how many do you have a disposable mask, or do you have a one that you use, like a cloth one?
I have both kinds, but I normally wear the disposable ones.
Yeah. Do you just wear them one day and you throw them away, or you wear them a couple days?
Yeah, a couple days.
Yeah, there you go. Probably puts it down. It's probably sitting next to him. Mine's right here next to me. It's on the table. I don't know where else to put it. Where am I supposed? I don't have anything else. There's no special sanitized machine. I wipe the area down. It's the best that I can do. I'm the only one ever in here. But I go other places. I mean, 2 masks would be great. Why not 3? Why not 5? Well, now you're just being stupid. There are masks that work amazingly well and other ones that don't. But we're trying to figure stuff out, and all the while, we've got a vaccine and tons of incompetence that don't seem to be changing when it comes to the states and the feds and the distribution of said vaccine by getting what? Vaccines into people's arms. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're still relying on government to do this. We haven't got to the point where the Walgreens, your doctor, CVS, they have them. It is who? It's the states.
A year of really amazing scientific breakthrough and discovery created this vaccine in record time. And we have seen the initial wave of vaccinations take place. That is progress we are building on. There's no question about it. But the process to distribute the vaccine, particularly outside of nursing homes and hospitals, out into the community as a whole, did not really exist when we came into the White House. The process of getting that vaccine into arms, that's the hard process. That's where we're behind as a country, and that's where we're focused in the Biden administration on getting that ramped up.
Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff, talking about how they're going to ramp stuff up. Great. Let's ramp stuff up. Let's get it out there. But the question is, how is it that some states aren't even using what they have, but asking for more? Is that a Fed issue? Are they afraid you're not going to give them any? Are they? Because I think there's also a lot of people out there in the states and the communities, whether it's your county that's running stuff, the city you're in, who don't trust the federal government either to supply the things, especially after what took place when the second dosage was supposed to arrive and when Trump was in charge and their Operation Warp Speed people were like, yeah. Alex Azar said, yeah, we don't really have any. But Pfizer, Moderna, like, we got tons. You guys, what's the deal? Like, why aren't you guys getting these?
Where is the holdup? Is this on the states and how they've been distributing? Where is the bottleneck?
I think it's many bottlenecks. We need more vaccine. We need more vaccinators. We need more vaccination sites. And in the Biden administration, we're tackling all three. We're going to take responsibility at the federal government. We're going to own this problem. We're going to work closely with the states. We're going to set up these federal vaccination centers to make sure that in states that don't have enough vaccination sites, we fill those gaps. We're going to work closely with the manufacturers to ramp up production.
Which needs to be done. We need to ramp up these things. But we also need easier, smoother ways for people to go out there. And the way that many of these states are doing is we're going to prioritize this, prioritize that. Here's the deal. I think at some point in time you say, you know what? We've tried this. This isn't working the way that it should be. We've also got people in the healthcare industry that aren't taking it. Some people aren't showing up. Why don't we just open it up and allow people to come here and get this so we can get it on to getting on? You want to hand out money? I want people to earn money. So do they. So do they. They want to be out there living their life, back to work on a daily basis. They want their kids back in school. They don't want to be stuck at home waiting for the government to do something else to save them when the reality is the government's caused a ton of this mess, locally and federally.
One of the first orders the president signed was using his legal authority under the Defense Production Act to mandate the production of more syringes that could extract more doses out of the existing vaccine vials. So we're going to use all the powers we have in the White House. Mm-hmm. We're going to work with Congress to get more funding to also accelerate this so that we can improve the rate at which we're vaccinating people.
Ron Klain, White House Chief of Staff. We need to improve that. And the other thing is this weekend, too, scientists here have said, based on what they have vaccine-wise, the good news is that they can extract more vaccines out of one vial than they thought. So an extra dosage. So that could be good. But at the end of the day, if people aren't showing up and or people can't maneuver to get through things, to get an appointment, it doesn't matter. And 100 people like 100 million shots. I'm like, it's not a big deal. 100 million shots. My God, we've got 50 states. That's 20,000 a day. That's not a lot when you think about it. Places like California, New York, Florida, Texas, they should be 50, 100,000 a day. Some states are going to do 2,000 or 3,000 a day, 4,000. It's not a lot of people. Montana, Wyoming. Other states are going to do 10 to 12. But that's not a big deal. But I think if we had every single shot we could have to give to people, and I'm not saying everybody's going to take it, and if you take it or don't take it, that's a you thing. I'm not bothered. But at the end of the day, I still think we'd screw it up because government will figure out a way to get in the way and make things 10 times harder. Hey, remember how just doing this easy on an app or on your phone or whatever? We're going to make it 20 times harder. We want you to go to 48 different places to fill something out to get a shot. Good God, what a pain in the ass. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Super Bowl is set. It's going to be Tampa Bay, Green Bay. Simple, easy poll today. Who you think's going to win? Who you think's going to win? Right now, the Buccaneers hold a 60-38 margin at Chad Benson Show. Tweet at me as well. Tell me who you think's going to win. You've got the GOAT, Tom Brady, against the kid. And the kid is, well, he's changed football. He has changed football in ways that I think he's one of those ones where you're like, you're changing the game. Like, the game is now, how do we find that guy? Where 5-10 years ago was like, no, we need a pocket passer. So, no, how do we find that guy? How do we get that guy to do what they've done? And some of it's coaching. You find the right coach. Everything kind of comes together. You get in a position where you've got the perfect melding of the two. That's a huge helper. Because you go to a wrong team, man, it could be ugly. But, woo, he's a hell of a player. He's amazing to watch. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, tweet, text. Love hearing from all of you. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. Been working with them for quite a while, and I love everything they do. I mean, you're talking about a group that just does things that are truly amazing, recognizing that our vets are struggling, as is our first responders and their families. And what they do is they go out and they rescue dogs that would be euthanized and train them to be service dogs for our veterans, our first responders, and their family. And it's just amazing to see the works that they do with these animals and what it does for the veterans, first responders, and their family, whether they're struggling with PTSD or injuries. The work they do is amazing. And it really is, their motto says it all. To save a paw is to save a life. And it truly is. Having that dog that is there that offers comfort, and especially for soldiers who are trying to get back into the normal way of life and adjust to being a citizen and being back, it is tough. And these dogs are amazing. Find out how you can help. Donate a vehicle. It's just amazing how you can donate a vehicle. Great tax-deductible gift, but to see what they do with this is incredible. Go to woundedpawproject.org. Find out how you can help. woundedpawproject.org. woundedpawproject.org. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Managing the virus is the single most important element to get our economy back on track. No matter who you speak with, whether it's economists, investors, hedge fund managers, every single person has the same opinion. This is what counts the most.
Deidre Bolton works for ABC News, talking about how we get the economy back, how we get it back rocking and rolling. She used to work for Bloomberg, and she's right. Managing this thing, and why that's important is because whether you're worried about it or not worried about it, right? So whether you think it's no big deal, it's kind of like the flu, or for whatever, it's still playing a part of your life and your day-to-day life and how it's going. Whether you can't go to your favorite restaurant the way you used to, whether you can't go to movies or sporting events, or your kids' games are canceled. So it's playing a part of that. So getting the coronavirus under wraps, essentially, is mightily important. In saying that, the question still lingers out there of what if? So a headline, I was flipping through the news. 80% of, staff refused to get vaccinated. It was from Walgreens. The staff, they're not going to be vaccinated. They're refusing the vaccination. Why? I mean, I don't care if you do or don't, but my issue is, are we going to be held hostage by people who don't want to get vaccinated? I don't think we should. I think as adults, you should be allowed to make your own decisions. I would never tell anybody to do something or try to force them. But are there going to be, they're already talking about it. There's going to be stipulations. Hey, you want your stimulus? You should get vaccinated. You want to travel? Well, that's already coming out by some airlines. Got to get vaccinated. right? You want to do certain things, you may have to get vaccinated. I think at some point, President Biden needs to step up and say, look, here's the deal. Once we have enough shots for everybody, and it's been out there, there will be a deadline date for us to get back to normal. Some states may be a little further behind, but the reality is that there will be a deadline date that we should all shoot for, whether it is July 4th or June 1st, whatever it is, that we're back out there living our lives normally, that everybody's had a chance to get the vaccination, have turned it down for whatever reason. Maybe they've already had it and they think, you know what, I've got immunity to it. Maybe they don't want it for whatever reason. Maybe I'll give it a year, or I think that maybe it could cause me to grow a third eye, whatever. So we're not being held hostage by some who say, well, I'm just not going to get it. So, okay, well, because we see what happens. These states, they just shut down. These arbitrary, bizarre rules that they make. No, I think at some point we have a drop dead date, if you will, and we move on. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Who is the winner of that $1 billion Mega Millions jackpot?
Just so ecstatic that it was somebody in our area. I mean, we could have just been right there.
I didn't get the right numbers.
The lucky winner beating the odds of less than 1 in 300 million. Their dreams coming true after buying a ticket at this grocery store here in Novi. The lump sum cash option, nearly $740 million. Neighbors in this city of about 60,000 people hoping some of that will go back into their community.
Yeah, they hope. I don't know if it will. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, just imagine that. Waking up today. So, $740 million. Let's go over this again. Mega Millions. So you've got just about 39.25% in total taxes that will come out. So you got $740 million. Again, good money if you can get it. Man, that's pretty good. All said and done, probably about $451 million cash. It's a good weekend. I don't know what you do with it if you're them. Producer Phil and I have talked about it, and he was talking to a financial guy, and I've talked to a couple of them, all said the same kind of thing, which is you take some money, fun money, like fun money. Here's $5-10 million. All the things you've ever dreamed of, all the things that you've ever wanted, everything that was in your heart's desire. So you go get your house. Right? So that cost you, who knows what you're going to do with that. But now everything in your heart's desire. You wanted a Ferrari, you get it. You wanted a Daytona Rolex, you go get it. You want that weekend in Vegas that is private jet, you do it. Then we invest the rest of the money. And you put it in a trust, and you invest it, and you set up the kids and everybody else that you want to set up with, and the rest of it, you go offline, essentially. You get away from the people that are going to come after you every single day because they want something from you. Because they're looking at you now as a paycheck, and they're happy for you for 2 minutes, but then the realization is that you are the lucky one, and they want some of what you got. Ooh, that sounds, yeah, it's true. It's very true. It's the way it works, kids. Well, if you're a nice guy, you're a nice gal, you win a bunch of money, you're going to be that way. Probably going to give a lot of it away. You can help people out, but you are. And if you're a jerk, You're going to be a jerk all the time. If you're a jerk when you're poor or when you're middle class, you're going to be that way. Just multiply that by the luck you had. But everybody's going to see you in a different way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So we got, the thing going on. Impeachment, The trial will happen. We'll talk about that when it happens. I'm not really going to give too much other time to it because I don't care. But the Capitol riot's a big thing. It's a huge thing. What took place? How did people get from point A to point B in their lives where they believed certain things is very weird. I've talked to a few people that have said, look, went down the rabbit hole. And I got sucked in. I'm trying to get one guy to come on. He and I, we exchange text and direct messages, and he got out before any of this stuff happened. But he talks about, how it cost him essentially just about everything. Family, friends. It had gotten to the point where it was just, like, who's Q? Well, Q, it depends on who you talk to. Some people in the world of Q say there's not one singular person. It is, 4 or 5 groups. And even inside there's celebrities. But this right here is insane. This is Jackson Reffitt. Turned his dad in for a reason. His dad was part of the Capitol riots, but turned his pops in.
Guy Reffitt. He's now been charged with unlawful entry at the U.S. Capitol and obstruction of justice for threatening his own family. He told his own son and daughter, if you turn me in, you're a traitor, and you know what happens to traitors. Traitors get shot. To his own kids, he said that. His 18-year-old son knew that his father had changed, and he feared for his own safety and the safety of others. He feared enough that he tipped off the FBI about his own father. Can you imagine?
It just felt like the right thing, regardless of my emotions and how I felt and how much I loved my family and my dad.
I couldn't imagine. But that's where some people went. Why is that? They got sucked into something. What's that something? Somewhere on the internet, they went for a deep dive. And they went into a rabbit hole. And instead of going, I should probably try to get myself out of this rabbit hole. And we've all gone down rabbit holes. But most of the time, it's stupid stuff. You're watching TV. They're like, I wonder if that person's still alive. Next thing you know, you're finding out, did you know this person did that? Then you're on to something else. Do it all the time. Everybody does. This just happens to be different. You take emotions of the elections, of politics, and then you put these things out there and you come up with stuff like, hey, kid, you're mine, but if you tell, let me tell you what could happen.
It's been definitely over the past 4 years that it's grown and just snowballed into what my dad's become now. He's changed a lot. He's been more active on the internet. Obviously, the militia and the far-right extremists he's been involved with recently. He's been a lot more, I don't want to say aggressive, more scared. I actually never even knew he was going to D.C. until the day he left. He said it as if it was the end of times or that this country was on the brink of its own collapse.
Because people had lost their mind. And you're seeing more of them who are now turning away from Trump, who bought into so much of what Trump spewed. And I've talked about, there are people that get into it, to the Q and to all this stuff, who are lonely people who feel disenfranchised, people, they get into this and they're easily manipulated because they're looking for something and they feel they found a home. And then there's other people that are in this who take advantage of those people. But there's also people in this that just go from conspiracy theory to another conspiracy theory. This isn't their first rodeo, and it won't be their last rodeo when it comes to conspiracy theories. If it's not, did we land on the moon? It's, are there aliens? If it's not this, it's deep state. If it's not, they'll find things because that's their whole life is about that. And they like the fact that they think they're in some sort of special know. Even now, it's like, hey, guess what? March 4th, mark it down. Trump's going to be inaugurated on March 4th. I'm like, what? What do you just, wow.
This is not a political argument between a father and a son who are both strong-willed. You have real concerns about your father getting hurt?
Yes, sir. It wasn't just a political thing. I was worried about what could possibly happen. I was a nervous wreck.
What's your best sense of what was driving his change and his fear?
Obviously, the man in charge at the time, I feel like, just really manipulated him. That's the only thing I can blame is the politics he follows.
But at the end of the day, you're making the choices. Right? 99.9% of us, right or left, didn't make those choices to go into those places. 99.9% of the people who supported Donald Trump, who may even believe some of what he was spouting, did not go into those places. So he may have manipulated, he may have said things, but there was a choice that you had, and people make bad choices. And his dad made a horrible choice and did that. So, he thought, hey, this is, I can't have this. And he's threatening me?
He would be like, I'm about to do something big. And obviously that was Washington, the Capitol riots. I didn't know that at the time.
And he was never like this before?
Not even remotely. He would never say the stuff he did to me a couple of years ago, me and my sister.
And when you say this stuff about how upset you were, he started giving you ultimatums about picking a side?
He said, choose a side or die. And if I chose a certain side, I would cross a line and he would do something he didn't want to do. I did feel threatened at those comments.
I get that all the time. Pick a side, Chad. I picked a side of truth. I'm an independent because independent-minded, open-minded people can look at everything from all sides. But this is family. I couldn't even imagine, the pick a side thing. No, you're saying pick my side or else I might have to do something. This is flesh and blood over a guy who they sold their soul for, many of them. And I'm not talking about the people that love Trump, supported Trump, went to his rallies, and he didn't win, and they went on about their life. I'm talking about certain people who got so into this thing that it consumed them, like this guy.
I do think what he was doing, he thought was right. But in the end, what he was doing was not right for himself or his family or the country even. I hope he realizes that soon enough. And if I could say to him right now, I would want to say I'm sorry what I've done, but I did think it was right as well.
Maybe, Pops one day will realize that you did something that you thought you had to do. And people have been outing and going after their family members, which some of it is, somebody said to me, would you, now, if you guys listen to the show, God bless you. But, I've got a sister who's had a lot of issues and run them was the law. One time they came to the house. I'm not a big fan of my sister, what she's done to my family, what she did to my little brothers and sisters, who are my nieces, nephews, my mother's adopted, is to me, in so many ways, unforgettable. Unforgivable. I can't forget it, and I'm not going to forgive her for that. But she's still family. And cops one time came in because they were looking for someone. I'm like, I'm not selling my sister out. Sorry. I'm not. This guy thought it was the way to do it. But once you get to the point where you're threatening your family, and I think he was really worried about his sister, Jackson was, that he was going to do something to both of them. Yeah, I totally get that. But my God, if you turn me in, you're a traitor. Well, first of all, don't you know, Dad, that everybody filmed this? Are you unaware of how this works? Everybody filmed this. So you're out there. I don't have to turn you in. But now that you said you're going to kill me or whatever that you threatened to do, sorry. FBI agents found AR-15 rifle and a pistol at his home. He said he brought the pistol with him to Washington. So, like everybody else, there's going to be a price to pay. What kind of price? That I don't know. I think a lot of them are looking at some serious time. Others, I think they're trying to sort out who thought they were just walking in somewhere because everybody else was walking in, got caught up in the moment. How do you treat them? You can't treat them the same way you treat, Jake Angeli or whatever with the buffalo horns and some of these other lunatics that were out there that broke through, that killed the officer, that attacked me. You can't treat them the same. But are they going to spend 10 years in prison? Are they going to get suspended sentences? There's a lot to suss out in the coming weeks and months, and this thing's going to drag on for a while. We're going to be hearing some of these people's names 6 months or a year from now, finding out they're taking plea bargains, and it's crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you each and every day. Check out the Twitter. Got a poll question up. We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
When BA got here last year, there was a lot of great things that were happening and a lot of great young players. And, I just loved, made the decision and, love coming to work every day with this group of guys. And I've worked really hard to get to this point. And it's a tough game. I've had a few tough games in a row. And the next one will be really tough too. But we know what we're playing for. And we got 2 weeks to prepare. It's going to be a great opponent. And be really exciting couple weeks for us.
Yep. Tampa hosting the game as well as playing in the Super Bowl 55. On top of that, 43 years old, made the decision last year that he was done with the Patriots, wanted to move on, did, after having so much success, arguably the greatest run in the history of our sports world, modern at least, that he and Belichick had. And then the debate was on. Who is it? Is it Belichick or is it Brady? Was it a combination of the two? Could Belichick do it with anybody else? Truth is, Tampa had a better team. Belichick, I think they were 7-9. They were never good. Nobody really expected him to do anything. And Cam Newton, who they picked up, really he's not what he was several years ago. And this year will give us a look, I think, potentially at what the Patriots may be in Belichick's way. But there's no denying Tom Brady he's the GOAT. There's just no denying that. And at 43 years of age, to go to a new team and to go to a new team where you're coronavirus, so you're not practicing with your teammates. You go to a new team where you are going to have a completely different system, a system that you are completely just as far as the freedoms you're allowed to have, as far as the things, because when you're with the Patriots, it's the Patriot way. But to do what he did this year, to throw the long ball, the deep ball as good as he did is amazing. It truly is. They're going to take on, yes, the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, who they got by Buffalo yesterday. I thought Buffalo would play a better game. They've got Stephon Diggs and they've got an okay running game, but the reality is it's Allen and Diggs are the players, Cole Beasley, but it's Dink and there's no way. And if you fall behind and you start chasing the game, you can't do that with the Chiefs. But let's remember, this is you're looking at the GOAT versus the potential to who knows what. This is his third year as a starter. He's been to 3 AFC championship games. He's won 2 of them, and he's going back to face Brady, Patrick Mahomes.
The Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. Being able to go up against one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback of all time in his 150th Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be a great experience for me. I mean, to go out there and have a chance to repeat and get to do it against the best. I mean, it's something special, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, and he talked about Patrick Mahomes about that first AFC championship game. He was the MVP that year, and there they go. Here come the Patriots. And the Patriots do what the Patriots do in Arrowhead Stadium, doing what they do, beating them in overtime. And then he said, hey, this is what Brady said to me after the game.
It just kind of reemphasized that I was doing things the right way, that I was putting in the right work, and that I would have more opportunities to be in these games. And I've been lucky enough to be in 2 more of them since and win both of those. And so get to go up against a great football team as well. And so I'm excited for the opportunity.
Will be fun. So, new way that they're doing things because of COVID. Normally, the teams would have a little bit of a break this week, as they're going to anyways, and then on the weekend, they would fly out there. Well, obviously, Tampa doesn't need to do that because that's their home stadium. First team ever to host and play in the game. And then the Chiefs aren't going to be going out until next Friday. So none of that chaos and craziness you normally see inside of Tampa or any of the host places where players are everywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. You guys have a great Monday. We will do it again tomorrow. That I promise you. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.